video 190 of the year of 366 videos. Okay, so today I want to talk about boundaries, and hopefully a few of you will jump on here soon that you've now turned on your notifications so you're getting notified when these videos go live. So as always, I want to make sure that I give you some aspects that you can take away and incorporate into your daily life. So first of all, what is a boundary? A boundary is a personal experience that you have with yourself and how you allow others to treat you. So when you're setting up boundaries, and this is one of the biggest mistakes that people make is that they have an expectation that other people will honor their boundaries. And this is the thing about boundaries, that it's all about you. And all right, Pablo, all right, yay, good to see you. So the boundaries are really all about you and your ability to honor and treat yourself the way that you want to be and who you are becoming. Because a lot of times people have allowed themselves to be treated in ways that doesn't feel good. You know, check out my Bullied by Your Family video. I learned at a very young age that boundaries were huge. And at the age of, I think I was 16 when I made the decision that I really wasn't interested in communicating with my father anymore. I didn't like the way he spoke to me. And I don't think that's very common, that people disengage with your family. At least it wasn't back when I did this over, talking about 45 years ago. I'm aging myself now, but, my father said a few things to me in the heat of his anger or passion, and I made that decision in that moment that, this is not how people will speak with me. And that's something I've honored within myself for years and years and years. Now, boundaries are things that come up in business they're called expectations. And a lot of boundaries and expectations are really about communication. How are you communicating your thoughts, your beliefs, your values in relationship to other people? That's what expectations and boundaries are really about, is you having clarity within yourself about how you want others to treat you, and most importantly, what you're willing to allow in your field. So I wrote down a few things that I wanted to make sure I did not forget, which is most people are lacking an awareness of what they're willing to accept in their life. And sometimes it is based on, past experience where, for me, drama is not something that's acceptable for me. I don't want it in my life. I don't engage in it. And so that's where the second story comes in. And I thought I would tell you the story of two families. And one family was very much into drama. Two parents, divorced, different families. They are now engaging on their own. One family is really engaged in manipulation, lies, deceit, and everything was really fake. When I engaged with this family, what I found was it just didn't feel good. I couldn't really put my finger on it at the time. What was it that didn't feel good? But it just didn't feel good inside. Then you go to this other family and it's really orderly, it's very organized, everything's very transparent, there's no mischievousness, I say what I mean and I mean what I say, and if I make a mistake, okay. And the two families have very different feelings. And I think this is where I want you to go. And this is where a lot of people who have trauma and abuse in their experience make a mistake is that they don't trust their inner feelings because their inner feelings are so chaotic. And this chaoticness is creating inner conflict. And this inner conflict makes them very difficult to set boundaries because they're now in this frame of mind of obligations. And obligations will lead you down a road that goes incongruent to your own inner strength. So you really want to the best of your ability, eliminate obligation out of your repertoire and just really go into, is this feel good to me? Is this really honor who I want to be and who I want to become? So that's one thing. You always have a choice, like the chaotic family or the structure family. Neither of them are good or bad. It's experiences. And so you get to honor your own experience and make a choice based on your experience. For me, the fact that I couldn't identify what the issue was, what made me suspect. Right? My spidey lens went up and I was like, what are these people hiding? Like, I didn't know at the time because, everything was so happy and joyful and everybody's so nice, but nothing was really, you couldn't really permeate it. Like they couldn't go any deeper than the initial subtleties of a conversation. There was no depth. Whereas the structure and the clarity and transparency, you can ask questions, you can go deeper, and there's a willingness, and you can get a pulse on them. And if people are uncomfortable, that's fine, but at least you know what it is. So in that, you have a choice of like, where do I want to invest my energy and my attention with these relationships? And I think that's really important that people start to question these relationships, and where you need to have a lot of boundaries to set up your protection is an indicator that you're around people who are very unsafe. And safety is really important these days because a lot of people's consent is being manipulated, and you really want to be mindful of those aspects. So know that you could always change your mind, and that your boundaries are absolutely yours and your determination of how you will allow people to treat you. And if people are being dramatic and chaotic, that they're bringing you into that. And even though you think you're on the outskirts, if you're listening to it, you're not on the outskirts. You're a part of it, and you're a part of it by your consent. And so this is where consent is really important when it comes to your boundaries. And I think this is the next best thing that I can leave with you is that when you're developing relationships, you want to develop your relationships in alignment with what it is you're valuing within yourself. And those values will determine your actions and whether you will invest in a relationship or start to back out. Now, in the case of it being family, I know a lot of people feel like they need to stay in contact with family because family is family. And that's totally your choice. For me, it wasn't about family being family. It's totally about how are the people, regardless of who they are, honoring not only me but themselves. And if people are willing to lie and be in deceit and manipulation, they're not going to treat me any better than they're treating themselves. So there's that. Okay, Pablo, what questions do you have here? Okay, I'm going to go back. It's so good to see you here. Yes, I can do. Pablo, and you give me the topic and I will make a live out of that for sure. Hi, Eric. Oh, Eric, good to see you here. Don't ever disrespect me looking like Jennifer Aniston from Friends. Okay. Have never heard that one before. especially with this nose. And Jennifer Aniston doesn't have a nose like this. She got hers fixed. Um, I look good for my age. Thank you. These are so funny. Thank you, Pablo. I'm getting ready to go out, so I'm dressed. And I already, normally I come on here in between my end of the day. I'm talking about boundaries and honoring your own boundaries, that how you allow people to treat you is based on your determination. Your determination is always going to be linked to your values. I go back to values over and over and over again because too many people do not know what they value. And if you can't list off your values in top 5 or 10, then you're going to struggle with making really tough choices in relationships to others, both at work and in your personal life. Like, your relationships with others are always going to be determined by what you're valuing. Where are you investing? And if you value honesty and integrity, then welcome, because that's what I'm here all about. How are you going to honor and have integrity within yourself? Somebody's asking about porn. Porn would be determined, and your looking at porn would be determined on, I'm just going to say, 2 main things: how you are valuing yourself and how you are allowing yourself to be manipulated. Because if you look into the depths of what the porn industry is about, it's about how can we weaken men in their most vulnerable states because they feel like they can't control their own urges. And that is not true, but it's how the mind can be manipulated. And once your mind is manipulated, your soul can be hijacked, for lack of a better. So porn is not a healthy habit. I understand it's very common. I understand I've had many clients who have had addictions with pornography and prostitution, and it's a dark world in which people get into addictions that they don't even know is happening. But what I will say is, as you develop an inner strength, your mind is still your most vulnerable aspect, in which you must have conscious intent always. And sometimes when people are in their most vulnerable aspects, they're not even even in tune with what they are consciously choosing, what they are consciously allowing into their minds, and they do not know how they are being manipulated. But that's a big topic, and it's very controversial. It is very real, and it's the truth. Healthy relationships will always be determined by healthy boundaries. So, Pablo, I would ask you, what are your boundaries? What are your values? Do you even know? Like, do you know when you will walk away? For me, if people are not able to honor their word, that's a really big red flag. Even people who what you would think is inconsequential relationships, like a friendship, and they say they want to meet you for coffee, and then they don't follow up, or they don't give you a date, or they ghost you, and then that's an indication of that person's values. It's not a reflection of you and you doing something wrong. It is like, are you willing to invest time with somebody who has a vested interest in their own personal choices rather than honoring the commitments that they make? Now, mind you, these people think that they're very much filled with integrity and honor their word. They go to church, blah, blah, blah. You know what? Your behavior will always, always tell you what's going on with a person. So I watch behavior. So how can you have Healthy relationships have healthy behaviors, have healthy practices that honor yourself and honor others, that where you can be kind and your authentic self. Okay, some messages are being held for review, folks, here. I'm very serious right now. I think boundaries can be serious, and that brings up a good point. I think a lot of people set boundaries that actually keep people more joy, more love, more kindness away from them because they set these harsh, rigid boundaries. When really it's just as simple as paying attention, being aware. Increase your awareness, and you don't need to have that many boundaries. You just need to know what you value, and your values will determine the relationships that you have, period. Okay, y'all. I am heading off for my afternoon. I hope you have a great day. I hope you have a full understanding that nobody else is responsible for honoring your boundaries but you. So if you set a boundary and people are not honoring them, that is saying something about the relationship you have developed, and only you have the power to shift and change that. And that might mean that those relationships no longer get your attention. I hope you have a great day. Thanks for joining me. Cheers to being in sync. I am Kiana Sage, and I guide people to peace. Have a great day. Bye.